Hello, Suraj. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, hello everyone. Please ask your friends to join. We'll be starting in 2 minutes.
Hello,
Okay.
I'm audible right now.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Android Studies Hub 2021-22. I'm Darshan Faldesai and will be a facilitator for this session. I'm from third year IT and I'm programming from like last 8 years. I'm a student like you, so feel free to interact in the chat. Don't be afraid of asking questions. We'll be taking an FAQ session by the end of the session. Okay. Before we start, let's do a small poll. Everyone, please go to this website, slido.com, and put in this code. And please answer which year you are from. I will repeat, go to that website, slido.com, put in the code 574301, and, and answer the poll. Which year are you from right now? We will wait a couple of minutes so that all the results come in. During this time, you can also ask your other friends to join the session. Okay, let's continue. So around 75% of the students right now are like from second year. That's good to know. Next poll. How familiar are you people with Kotlin? Like, have you ever used it before, or you're complete beginners? The same website. The poll would have been updated by now. Just answer this. This will be the last slide. Don't worry. Last poll. Oh, everyone is starting out. Okay. One of them is a pro. Okay. Okay, that's 90% of are complete beginners and 5% of the people are just beginning. Don't worry about it. Don't freak out. Uh, this is a beginner's course and everyone can join in. Don't worry. Let's move on. So let's start with what exactly are Android study jams. These are community organized study groups for people to learn hands-on Android development. You don't need any prior Android experience to get on with this sessions. As you see, as 90% of the students are beginners, don't worry. This is a total beginners course. And even if you are if you are really comfortable with Android development using Java and just want to start with Kotlin, that is also fine. Everyone will be starting from the same things, and this course is not that difficult to get along. Let me tell you more about the campaign. The campaign started from 29th November last month, that is like 5 days back, and it will continue till 10th January 2022. So like around more than a month. There will be multiple sessions and study jams. There will also be guest sessions organized with industry experts and hands-on code sessions, maybe with code alongs and everything. And all the participants will get multiple benefits and badges along the way. Talking about badges, these are the 15 badges that you will be earning throughout this whole session. Not this session, but the whole campaign. And they will be publicly visible to everyone on your Google developer profile along with the date that you earned it on. This profile is, you can go to this profile by looking up Google developer profile. It's a public profile. It's similar to, it's used to show your achievements, specifically in all the Google-based technologies. We'll talk about it more in the upcoming sessions. Also, you'll be getting a completion certificate signed by the DSC lead and with PCCUG DSC logo. And the most important benefit, I think, from this session will be the Associate Android Developer Certification. This certification comes after the session we are doing right now. The next session, that is the Associate Android Developer session, is a paid session. But if you complete it during the Android Study Jams 2021-2022, you will get up to your 80% of the fees reimbursed. The only criteria is that you should complete the first basics course during the study jams, and then after completion, you can head on and apply for the Associated Android Developer Certification. And if you pass all the criteria, you will get your 80% of the fees back. The certification is the cost of it is $150 US, but during this Android study jams, you only have to pay $30 for it. This certification is highly valued because it comes from Google themselves. And it will be really helpful if you want to do a career in Android development. So make sure that you use this session and the study jams properly. If you want to learn more about Android development specifically, you can look up these websites. The links will be in the chat box. And during the end of the session today, I will walk you through on how to use these websites a bit more properly. So what is this session exactly about? What we'll be doing this throughout this whole campaign? In this session, we will be talking about a course on their website called Android Basics. And the curriculum used is the Android Basics in Kotlin course. This course over here, as I said, it is the stepping stone for the Associate Android Developer Certification exam. This course in general just tells you about the basics of Kotlin and how to create simple apps. It has a total of 6 units and a total of 15 collectible badges. If you are comfortable with Kotlin already, you can just skip the unit 1 and can start with the next units. The requirements, a basic computer, you don't need a very high-end computer. You can also you can use even a weaker computer, but that's fine. Only your initial process will be slower, but after a time it will stabilize and you can complete it without any issues. An active internet connection, definitely. An Android device or a USB cable. This is optional because the whole environment comes with an emulator, and you can and that works brilliantly. You don't need an external device. And Android Studio, definitely. The way to get Android Studio is pretty straightforward. You just go to the website and download it and follow the prompts. If you still have any issues, feel free to put it in the chat box or ask people in the community, specifically or in our Discord channel, and someone, or me or someone, will definitely help you out there. So, well, let's talk about what you will be learning in this course. First of all, you will be talking about what it has total of 15 badges. That is 15 pathways that you have to complete. In the starting out, you will be starting with learning and how to use Kotlin, an introduction session, how to create a very basic app, that's the Hello World app. Then you will start using layouts, where you'll be learning about how to use simple layouts, how to add buttons, how to interact with the user, how to create a list and navigate between multiple small pages. But then the course starts getting into a much more complex options, like how to architect your app, how to use advanced navigation, how to use language-specific features like coroutines, how to get data from the internet, how to use a database in your app, how to manage background services, etc. So even though this course starts out very simple, by the end of this course, you will learn very important concepts that are needed to work as an Android developer in the industry. So make sure that you complete this course and pay attention to it properly. It's not difficult, although it might be a bit more complicated to learn, but this is a self-paced course. Feel free to spend as much time as you want looking through it, reading through it, and experimenting. This is a hands-on session. It's not just that you have to read and answer the questions. Even though it's recommended that you spend like an hour or 2 hours on each session, feel free to spend even a day if you want, so that you can get comfortable with all the concepts and everything. All you have to do is just complete this course before the end of the campaign. That's like the first week of January. Okay. This is the first part of the session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask it right now. I will wait for a couple of minutes so that people can digest all the information. All the links regarding all this sessions and everything will be put in the chat box and later circulated in a post.
Darshan,
Yeah.
there's a question of what duration is the study jam?
Okay, the study, as I said, the campaign has already begun from 29th November, and it will end on 10th January. I will recommend that you complete this by the end of December, but you still have time. You don't have to complete it by the end of December. You have till 10 days more in January, I guess. Oh, even if you start on 11th December, you have to complete it by 10th January. Oh, if you have already enrolled, it's fine. You just put the college name, and that should be more than enough. See, by the end of this session, we will be asking you people to submit your developer profiles, and if you have completed all the 15 pathways and you have earned all the 15 badges, we can see the date on it. And if you follow all the criteria, you will get the certificate and all the other benefits. So don't worry about it. Just make sure that you have completed the course before 10th of January, and you have sent us your details by then. I think that is it. If you people still have any questions, feel free to ask it, and we will do an FAQ session by the end of the. Okay, let's get back onto the session. Let me remind you, we are all students here, so feel free to ask. Don't be afraid of asking questions. The only way to learn is by asking questions. So, yes. Okay, let's move on to the next part of this session, that is focusing on Kotlin. So before I tell you what exactly Kotlin is and how to use it and how to learn Kotlin, like why do you like let's figure out why even bother learning a new language called Kotlin. Like there's already so many multiple different languages available. There's C, there's C++, there's Java, there's JavaScript. There's like technology specific languages like SQL, Julia. Like why is there a need of someone to learn Kotlin in 2021? Like you can already make your apps in Java. Then why even learn Kotlin? What does it bring to a table that Java can't do? It's like if you ask any random person, they will tell you that Kotlin is just a cooler way of writing Java. It's much more simpler to understand. It's much more easier to understand. It has saner defaults. The programming experience is uh, much more better for the end developer. But I don't think that should be the reason to create a new language entirely. Okay, the actual benefit of Kotlin, I understood the actual benefit of Kotlin after I started learning it and like went deep into it. First, I thought it was just a dialect, a new way of writing Java code. But as you write, you understand that it's not tied to the Java ecosystem at all. You can use Kotlin independent of Java. You can link it with any platform that you want and write code. For example, you can link it to the JVM, the Java Virtual Machine, and use it as a replacement of Java. But nothing's stopping you to use Java at all. You can link it to browser, and now you can write it along with JavaScript. Now you can use Kotlin in your browser, or you can just use Kotlin, compile it directly to native code, and there you go. You have a native app. You can use Kotlin to make desktop applications. So if you think about it, using just one language, you can target so many different platforms. That is why Kotlin is called a multi-platform language. You can use the same way of writing, the same language, but on multiple different platforms. There is this new technology coming up using Kotlin. It's called Kotlin Multi-Platform Mobile. What it does is the most complex parts of the code of an app, that is the business logic, for example, getting data from the internet or like storing information on the device. All that you can handle it using just Kotlin. And you can write the UI of the application using the native things, like for example, the views of Android or the views that are given by the iOS look and feel. This way, even though your app looks like as if it's like completely native, it uses all the native views and everything, but majority of the code, that is, we're talking about like around 60 to 70% of the code base, you can share it between your iOS and your Android app. So first of all, you will need much more less people to work on your code base. And second thing, it will actually cost you a lot less to create those apps. And a Kotlin developer can get into both of those fields. He can also work as an iOS developer. He can also work as an Android developer using this technology. But this isn't it. Kotlin can do much more things. Recently, Android and Google came up with a new technology called Jetpack Compose. It is a way of creating UIs and everything in Kotlin. You don't need XML at all. You don't need to write some weird language that is syntactically similar to HTML to create views. You can use Kotlin to create views. Also, you can use the same technology to create desktop apps. You can also use you can also use Kotlin as a replacement of Node.js. You don't need to use Node.js and React or like modules as like Express to do your routing. You can just use Ktor, for example, to handle all their server-side code. And that isn't it. If you are really interested, you can even use Kotlin to do competitive programming. That's the thing. Kotlin is a very multi-platform language. The way you can use it however you want. It's all based on your imagination and how people want it to use. So I think that is enough me selling out Kotlin to you. Let's delve into what exactly Kotlin is. So just some theory. Kotlin is an expressive, statically typed language. It was developed by JetBrains in 2010. So this language is not new. It has been there from like last 11 years now. It's free, open source, and used by at most 6 million developers around the world. Kotlin is called one of the most loved languages in the world. This graph over here talks about the top languages developers developers like to use, and Kotlin is among the top languages in the world. Even if you pull out this year's data, that is 2021's cut data, you'll find Kotlin in the most loved languages over there. And some of the other milestones of Kotlin, it was released in 2016. That is the stable 1.0 version. In 2017, Google announced that it first-class support for Kotlin as on Android, and in 2019, it is now the preferred language over Java. And now I've told you that you can do a lot of things using Kotlin. And how Google is supporting it. So I will teach you what exactly makes it that why do developers actually love it. Okay, so let's do some hands-on demo kind of things. So let's talk about the most simplest example that you will find while learning any language. That's the hello world function. So this is a very small snippet. If you look into it, it's a main function. All it does is it prints hello world. Now, even though this is a very small snippet, it tells you a lot about the language. First of all the functions in Kotlin are identified by the keyword fun being function. Now, I think you people can see my cursor, right? Yeah. So this over here is the main function. If you look closely, you can see that the main function doesn't take any arguments. That is because the arguments are completely optional. If you don't want to parse it, you can just skip the brackets completely. If you want to parse command line arguments, you can just put brackets in and write the arguments over there. Inside the function, there's a simple print line and which puts hello world on the screen. Unlike Java, you don't need to do system.out.println. Simple things such as printing to the console and everything is made very simple by Kotlin. And if you notice, there's no semicolon either. Using semicolons is completely optional. If you are comfortable with using semicolons. For example, if you come with C or C++ ka background, you can use it. If you don't want to, like for example, you started with Python and you're not comfortable with putting semicolons at all, you don't need to put it. It's completely on your user preference. So even on this simple example, you can see that how Kotlin makes your life easier. You don't need a lot of things to do simple tasks. Let's move on to a bit more hands-on demo. This is a very simple Kotlin function. I hope people can see.
Visible.
Okay. So there are two types of variables in Kotlin. There are constants, and there are some variables that can be reassigned. For example, this val keyword, val standing for value, stores constants, and this var keyword recognizes reassignable variables. For example, you can, once you define a as 5, you can't reassign it to something, say 7. But since b is identified by this keyword var, you can reassign it as many times as you want. In short, val is constant, final values, for example, and var is a reassignable value where you can reassign it as many times as you want. If you remember a couple of slides ago, I told you that Kotlin is statically typed language. That means you have to specify the type. But the compiler is very smart. You don't have to tell it. It can automatically recognize the type of it and assign that value type of it. Assign the type to the variable. You don't have to put it. If you still want to put, you can use the colon symbol and then specify a type over here. This can be highly useful when you use like custom classes and everything. But this is completely optional. You can just, the compiler is competent enough to like automatically infer the type from it. By default, every variable that you create is non-nullable. For example, in JavaScript, most of the errors have there are many instances when your whole code base just crashes because you tried to assign a value to something that is null. But by default in Kotlin, you can't assign null to a variable. If in any case a function returns null and you try to assign it to a variable that can't take the value null, then the compiler will scream at you. And I mean by literally scream at you, and it will tell you that you can't use that function association, you can't do that operation. But in case you still want to use null and assign null value to any variable, you can use this question mark symbol. This tells you that this variable can take either a value of string or it can take a value of null. So by simply adding this conditionality that a variable can take values null or not, and the compiler is very much aware that what all operations are possible on the variable and what all operations are not possible. And that is how you can, because the compiler is that smart, most of the runtime issues are automatically solved. There won't be like the end user just trying to press a button and suddenly your whole app crashes and it leads to a system failure. Let's look into how a class is created in Kotlin. Like Java, you just you create a class using this class keyword. You give it a name, and if you look into it, this is something weird. The class is taking parameters that makes no sense if you come from other languages. But if you look into it, this actually takes this is the default constructor. I think are you people aware with default constructors? Please put it in the chat box. This is nothing complicated. What it does is whenever you try to create this constructor, it's automatically called. Don't worry about it. If you don't know, when you do the course, you will properly understand. There's like multiple different examples given over there.
Darshan, sorry to cut you short, but I think there's a doubt which needs to be solved.
Oh, sure.
Can we reassign the variable with another data type?
Oh, no, that is not possible. You can't reassign the variable with another data type. It's not a dynamic language. Once you assign a type to it, you can't reassign that anything until you destroy the old object. For example, this C string over here, I can just do, one second. For example, here, I run this example. I have printing over here variable C, and C is declared over the type who. C is now something else, and I run it. Oh, one second. I think I messed up some. Anyways, I think this compiler is not working properly. But what I meant by that is you can actually reassign the value to C as many times as you want, as long as the type of the variable is same. If you want to reassign the type of it, you need to destroy the variable. For example, you go out of the scope where the variable is no longer defined and declare it over there. I think I've answered your question. If you still have a problem, please let me know. Okay, thank you. Okay, while we are at it, I'll answer these two questions over here. Shreyash asks, we have to earn badges sequentially or randomly? Okay, so throughout the 6 units, there are 15 pathways. For example, the first unit has 4 pathways. That is 4 badges. You complete the I will just show you. So this unit 1 has 4 badges over here. You click on explore. There are four pathways over here, and completing each pathway that are a set of activities. Like for example, pathway 1 has 5 activities. Once you complete all those, you will earn this badge. You can just skip the second badge and opt for third badge. You don't have to do it sequentially, but the whole course is designed in a way that it actually adds on to existing data. So it's better that if you do it sequentially, you don't have to. If you feel like doing like, I don't know, odd even or something, you feel free to do it. I think that's your question. I get a session like that so that I would get an insight on what this course is about. Okay, so I've told you what exactly the course is about. I think if I will just repeat, this is like it's actually a hands-on demo. Like even throughout the session, they will ask you to code along, and you will have to give a couple of tests and quizzes based on that. And that is how you will earn the badges. If you don't complete the activities, you don't get the badges. So yes, trial and error session will be there. And if there's like enough demand from you students, we can also have like a code along session where I can teach you a concept if you want. That is all based on how much you people demand. Okay. So Abhishek, I think I have answered your question as well. If anyone else has any question, please put it in the chat box and we will answer it later on. Let's get back to the session. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about classes again. As I said, classes use the keyword class, where you give it a name, and this over here is the default constructor. For example, whenever you create an object of this class, it will have to take a parameter. For us, that will be count. If you don't need any parameters when you create an object, you can just omit this whole part entirely. Okay. This class is pretty simple. All it has is a simple function that is print. What it does is it prints line, I have X amount of fruits. If you look at it, this over here is referring to the variable declared over here. That is, you can just use the variables in strings directly using this $sign. You don't need to convert every variable to string first, then concatenate it using the plus operator and everything. You just use the $sign and you can have access to all the variables directly over there. Okay. And this is a simple main function over here. If you notice, I have used the arguments over here. This is how you take the command line arguments. We won't be talking about command line arguments, so it's you can just omit it if you want. Okay, so here, this statement might look very complex, but look at it in two parts. First, we are creating object of this class fruit and giving it a value of 10. So automatically, the object count variable will store the value 10. And after that object is created, we are calling the print function on it. That is this over here. So in theory, this should print, I have 10 fruits. And there you go. Kotlin is very easy to understand if you look into like small bits and bobs over there. Okay, this was a very basic introduction to Kotlin. If you go through the course, it will tell you a lot more about Kotlin and how to use it, how to improve your workflow and everything. So make sure that you pay attention to small bits like that. Another interesting demo that I have over here that tells you what makes Kotlin superior than other languages, say, for example, Java. Whenever you try to create when in object-oriented programming, you often create classes for like this. You create a class, developer here. You create you define multiple private variables inside it. You create a constructor for it over here that takes on two variables, assigns it to the private variables. Then you create some getters and setters for it over here, so that the object, you can use the variables you can pass the variables around using the object, or you can use the set and you create the setters for it to assign the values to those variables. You also create the equality, coverload, and blah, 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 blah. So overall, this is a very complicated process, but this is a very common process. Whenever you have to deal with object-oriented programming, you will definitely have to do this. But this becomes very boring and tedious the more you do it. And that is why Kotlin makes it very easy. All you have to do is just use this single line in Kotlin. You use a data, you use the keyword data, you use keyword class, you give it a name, give it the variable types, and automatically all of this data is automatically generated for you. You don't have to put in a single bit of code. So if you look at it, if you use Kotlin properly, you can reduce your code base by as much as 80%. So Kotlin is really powerful if you in the right hands. So that was my demo for Kotlin. So there are some more. These learning resources are specifically for Kotlin. This will be in the chat box. I will show you how to use these. For example, this Kotlin documentation is pretty straightforward. For example, the if expression, it tells you what it does. It gives you an example, not just one example, multiple different examples and how to use it. And this is the case for every concept in Kotlin. So if you get stuck in any case, for example, I don't know whether there's like a switch statement, like for example, the switch statement in C, is there like anything similar? You can just go over here and look it up. Feel free to. There's also this Kotlin by examples course over here, where it gives you like an interactive demo. You can just press this play button over here and it will run this code for you. There are multiple other courses available outside, and we'll be linking all those in the post later on. Coming back to the documentation, as I mentioned earlier, I will be telling you about how to use the documentation. This is the Android developers website. If you ever get stuck in any concept, for example, you don't know how to use documentation properly, how to use navigation, for example, make sure that you come to this place first. This has first of all, it has all the upcoming new technologies and upcoming courses that Google makes it available. So make sure that you look at it. For example, Jetpack, what was recently added to Jetpack and Jetpack Compose. foldable technology is new. You can look up how to create apps for foldable devices, etc. Specifically, if you ever get stuck into while creating an application, you can just come here, look at some sample code and API references. For example, if you want to do navigation or something, just make sure you come click over here, and it will tell you how step by step how to achieve what you want to do. Similarly, there's another website, Google Code Labs, which offers like it offers courses on multiple different technologies offered by Google. Most of these technologies over here are free. Like for example, there's like Firebase, Flutter, Games, Android Assistant. Like for example, if I wanted to learn how to create adaptive apps in Flutter, all you have to do is come here on this website, look it up, and press start over here. Or if you want to learn TensorFlow or Firebase, make sure that you come and start your course over here. So all these resources we will be linking it down below. So make sure that you use it to your advantage. That is it. 1 second, this GIF is not. Okay, anyways, that is it for this session. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask it down below. If you ever get stuck using throughout the course, you can always @ me on the Discord server or @ anyone. They will be very glad to help you. Thank you. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask it in the Q&A section.